Well, hello, my beautifuls. How are you? Welcome to a Lemon True Crime, everybody's favorite YouTube voice. I hope you guys are well. For those of you that are here on a regular basis with me, you know that yesterday Gretchen passed over onto the Rainbow Bridge and above and beyond. And so for me, I personally cannot discuss it because it will make me cry. That was a dog that was with me for 14 years. So, with that being said, let's get started. I want to first start off with the idea that we have to take a break from other cases and jump back onto cases we've been covering when something comes around that's very important. And so we're going to be talking about the Idaho 4 case. In the Idaho 4 case, I'm going to put this in a personal perspective today rather than us as a group, but I think you've all been with me on this journey. In fact, I know you have. I personally, as a creator, I can't speak for others, but as a creator, I literally get hundreds of messages a day. Hundreds. Either email, comments, Facebook posts, you name it. And a lot of the times in a specific case, there will be some form of misinformation that is being pushed as a narrative. So not only is it misinformation, but it defines that therefore, because this, item A is true, that then therefore this is the narrative. And I have combat that. I have been very, very responsive in answering, I kid you not, hundreds and hundreds of posts where people say things like, well, if you don't think BK is guilty, then explain the stalking. Well, I don't have to, even though I did. And I would always say, BK never stalked anybody. This was literally what I would type almost every time. You can go back, review the messages yourself. BK was not stalking anyone. In fact, the defense said he had zero connection to any of the victims. And so today is one of those moments where not only am I addressing that and proving that I wasn't speaking out my butt, but it's also to show you the work, because I'm going to be showing you this right out of prosecution's mouth. So the prosecution says it themselves. I'm also going to be showing you where Jennifer Dagger runs her mouth knowing full well again. I mean, she's supposed to be so knowledgeable because she's ex-law enforcement, ex-FBI, but yet she had all the same information I did. And I caught a little glimpse to share with you on what she said about the possible stalking scenario. And there's others out there. I won't bring them all up, but Nancy Lovely, I get that you feel he's guilty. But please really verify your sources, because if Jennifer is ever one of them, that's not a great idea in my humble opinion. So I wanted to kind of walk this through and rewind the clock a little bit to take you back in time so that you're aware that for all of you that are not only lazy but hateful and you're really not educated enough or something, that you want to be a creator and do nothing but look at all the creators that are actually doing the legwork and the paperwork and showing their work, and all you want to do is hack on them. I'm going to do your work for you today because I love you enough to make sure that you understand that I'm not just saying this, that the prosecution is saying it. So I'm going to make it, as Mr. Proudbeat would say, let me be clear about it. With that being said, I want to send a lot of light and love out to all of you. I just get frustrated when It's like, how do you want to put it? There's demonizing on a suspect when there's not evidence to support it. When we look at BK, Brian Kohlberger, if he is your killer, if you're the guilty one, you're like, he's guilty, burn him at the stake. I would like to ask you something. Now, I want you to literally take a step back, put your common sense in your brain, right? Function with me, and think about this. This was a known party house with literally crawling with DNA. If Brian Kohlberger had been stalking them, how could he not know that? He would. He would know if he was stalking the place that it literally was a party place where half the time the residents weren't even home. That it was a petri dish of evidence that is going to mean nothing, because who the hell knows if somebody came in there one time in their life and brushed out. So why, if BK is guilty of stalking them and being the KILLER, would he not just say, hey, dude, I didn't do it? And then when I'll play Ann. But Brian, they have your DNA on a knife sheath upstairs by a victim. Keep in mind, this scenario, BK is allegedly the KILLER. Oh, yeah, I went to a couple parties. Yeah, so I guess my DNA could be there. I don't know how it got on a knife sheath. Why not? Why would you not want to excuse your DNA? But rather, you take like the upstream path, knowing your DNA is in the house, of saying, I don't even know these people. I've never been in the house. Why? Common sense, please. Bear with me. I really know. I've got 24,000 people that got common sense on my channel. We all know it. I'm talking to the ones that are tuning in saying BK is absolutely guilty, because here's why. Here's why. He was stalking them. I heard it from the Gonsalves, Gonsalves, however you say their name. I heard it. He was stalking them. Number two. And you can't deny it. Brian had a thing for Kaylee. Absolutely. It's guaranteed. Okay? This is what I hear for what I call the one-stops, where they come in, they read the thumbnail, and then they drop their crap without even wiping their butt, and then leave. Because they don't hang around. They're not going to like our channel. They're not going to like our family. And to be honest, we don't want them here. But they're going to have to listen to it today, because this is all of us proving that what we've been saying about Brian Kohlberger is absolutely the truth. And what they've been saying is a false narrative. I want to welcome my beautiful all-star panel today, and we have a great deal of people. So y'all forgive me, but I'm just going to grab my beautiful blue team, which are my mods right now. Joyful Dolphin, Sassy, how are you? Jenny Troglin. Is Ifs here, Mr. Ifs? I don't see him, but I'm sure he would be. But he does have reason not to be on the Idaho 4 case, and that is because one of our mods is actually related to the one of the victims, and so it kind of is difficult for him. So with all due respect, we love you. And my beautiful, joyful Dolphin, and my Sassy. Sassy, I got your email. It disappeared before I could answer it. Thank you for the love about Gretchen. I love you. Let's roll. Fair use disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as, deep breath, y'all, say it with me, criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing, and so forth. Okay, you guys. Let's just break it down. This is September 17th, okay, September 17th, a fall of 2023. It says, in an affidavit outlining the case, investigators say DNA, cell phone records, and surveillance camera evidence linked the accused murderer, Bryan Kohberger, to the crime. But his defense attorneys say in a court filing that, quote, there is no connection between Mr. Kohberger and the victims. I told y'all, it's real. So that was all the way back in September 7th of 2023. But yet, listen.
You're seeing it specifically tunes into TikTok, Tinder, and then also Google. And it also is very specific to particular people. Ethan is not even considered in these particular set of warrants. And so I think that gives us some clues. It tells us that law enforcement believes possibly that they had a connection well prior to the time frame we thought. And that could either be through social media or through physically meeting them on a visit there.
And you think that it's possible that he may have chosen Washington State University to get his degree or to study because of some sort of relationship connection to the victims?
I think it's possible. Certainly law enforcement is going to be looking in every direction, including that direction. Could that have led him to choose this university clear across the country from Pennsylvania, where he had previously attended for his undergraduate and his master's degree? What took him there? That has to be at least considered. And when you look at this time frame they chose, I think that that gives us a pointer as a possibility.
And these.
Well, Jennifer, you've read the same information we all have, that the defense has already told you at this time frame that there is zero connection between Bryan Kohberger and the victims. Yet you're going on as ex-law enforcement when the general public respects law enforcement, especially experienced ones, and in full well knowledge that the defense has already made a statement, there's no connection. You're going on to suggest that Bryan may have possibly literally moved to Washington in order to do this crime. Are you flippin' kidding me?
Search warrants call for E11. All activity logs of the accounts, including who the account followed and unfollowed, location data, and messages sent or received from the account. So should we expect that all of that information will be turned over?
Oh, yes, it'll be turned over. And another reason why law enforcement likes to limit their date range to what is pertinent and what they believe could lead something in their investigation that would be important is you don't want to go over, all of this information going back too far in time. It is so much to look at. If you just see this document dump, they call it, or documents that you see, it's hundreds and hundreds of pages long. Imagine what the returns look like. It's going to be thousands of pages long. So there was a reason that they put in these specific parameters.
Jennifer, thank you very much for coming on the program. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Specifically tunes in.
Thank you, Dan. Ugh. All right, you guys. I'm just saying, what in the world? I am tired of this where, okay, it's not just the Kohberger case, the Stephen Avery case, and other cases where it ends up being a big tug of war, a possible wrong conviction, where you literally have the prosecution itself putting out documentation and statements and narrations to the public, such as a PCA, such as Bobby himself, right? Bob Thompson, Mr. Tommy, Mr. Thompson, whatever you want to call him, the prosecutor, pre-trial, talking about how the PCA can be widely distributed to all those watching, listening, whoever you want. Give it to Bob's uncle. And Kohlberger's not even in the state yet, right? Yeah. Let's think about the narrative that this fed when the PCA comes out, and let me see here. I want to find out where it originated. I remember. Yeah. This is where it originated that Kaylee had a possible stalker. I'm going to do a little work for the defense. If they're wondering where that rumor came from, it came from a press release. Moscow Homicide Update, November 23rd, 2022. 6:30 p.m., Moscow, Idaho. Moscow, Idaho. The Moscow Police Department is providing the following information to update the public on the known facts surrounding the 4 murders that occurred on November 13th in Moscow, Idaho. Updated information. Keep in mind, it happened on 13th. This is 10 days. Is there time for DNA to come back in that time frame? 10 days? Let's look at this. Updated information. At this time in the investigation, detectives do not believe the male Kaylee and Madison attempted to connect or contact numerous times on November 13th is involved in the crime. Okay. Here it is. The first mention of a stalker. Kaylee mentioned having a stalker, but detectives have been unable to corroborate the statement. Investigators are requesting anyone with information about a potential stalker or unusual instances to contact the tip line. That's where it originated. There is a seed planted. Boom. Boom. Who planted it? Oh, Moscow themselves. Not the FBI. Not the defense. Not the prosecution. Not the guy that designed the survey. No. This was something Moscow planted. Here's the seed. Right there. Now let's listen. Let's listen. Close.
Let's see. You acknowledge false that Mr. Koberger allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false. You know that to be false.
Which one?
That Mr. Koberger allegedly stalked one of the victims.
Yes, I was trying not to say that because.
But you knew that was false.
I did.
Yes.
Wait, where's the goat? Okay, for you guys that are new to our beautiful channel and family, we have a mascot. It is a goat. It screams very loud. It is to release tension. And when this guy literally is told that he knew that the statement that Kohlberger was stalking the victims was false, he literally replied with an astonished question. I did, and the reason is because he has been given no information about this case other than the crap that has been put out on the public media through the news avenues and social media. And had we ever, at this moment, before this statement is about to drop, been told in the media, ever, once, by the prosecution or anyone, that that was false? Only by the defense, right? And keep in mind, there's a gag order. The defense cannot tell him anything. So the only way he would know that to be false is if he had been watching my channel or maybe a few of these other good creators. Jules of All Trade, Harsh Reality, Get Lucky, or is it Get Lucky? Shoot, I hope I didn't misquote that. You feel me? So why am I here every day? Why do I put up with the, how can you explain this? Potato heads? Because those tater tots are the ones I'm trying to educate. Because what if one of those tater tots gets on the jury pool, is in the jury pool? You just never know. So today is a day of celebration, of clearing up over 9 months worth of work, of well, maybe not 9. What are we in? April? I better do my math right. I don't want a lot of comments. See, September 23rd, so that'd be the 9th month. There's 7 months. There you go. 7 months of me saying the defense has said there's absolutely no connection. Not only is there no connection to the victims prior, but there's no connection after except for the DNA on a knife sheath. There's no blood of the victims mixed with his DNA anywhere in this case. There is no murder weapon anywhere in this case. There is no blood in his car. There is no blood in the office. There is no blood in his apartment. There is no blood in the parents' home anywhere that is related to any victim at all, let alone this case. I say that assuming there's no others, but you follow me. So now it's time for us to realize what the true Justice Department, the prosecution, has to provide. And that is explain to us how Brian Kohlberger's DNA is on that knife sheath. How did it get there? I'm asking you, Mr. Tommy. How did it get there? If the man never entered the dang home, you have zero proof he ever entered the home. Pullman is what, 7, 9, 10 miles away from where he lives? He shops there? I do that every week, and so do millions of us drive 9, 10 miles to get groceries. So what if there's 2 to 10 towers and he pinged on some of them? It's a very small area. And to cherry pick out one human being and say, hey, you pinged on, how many other people pinged on that tower in the area that happened to also live within a block or 2 of the victims? Why do we not know who these 3 unknown male DNAs are? There's a reason. Right? Gemini 65 feels this judge is useless. Taurus 16 said, yep, very, very plausible. Kim Princess says, maybe there was a second unaliver, and Brian is one that held the victims down. You could be right, but he didn't leave his DNA on him. He didn't leave any DNA in the house. And he left us not a single crumb of evidence that says he committed any murder. 0. All we have is an item that we don't even know if it belongs to a murder weapon. We simply have an item in the house with BK's DNA on it, allegedly. And I say that because the length of time that it took for them to qualify that it was really Brian's DNA exceeds the length of time that the DNA may have been viable on that kind of a button snap. And if the knife sheath is laying in this mass murder right next to victims, how did it not get the victim's DNA all over the knife sheath? And why haven't we seen any evidential signs of this knife sheath? It gets a little bit convoluted for me to just assume that because somebody's DNA is in my house, when I could have went to a garage sale and bought a knife myself, and it could have some stranger's DNA on it, and then, oh my gosh, somebody in my life that has a plan against me does a crime, and now my entire investigation from me looking from above, if you follow me, is based on the fact that I bought a knife sheath at a garage sale, and it happened to be because I grabbed it when somebody came in. Have you ever thought that there's other ways to get touch DNA on something? I'm just saying. See, Kim Princess, I agree with you there. I also feel the same way, that it's highly possible at this point, knowing that we're dealing with the team that we are, I'm just going to leave it at that, that the knife sheath could have been planted, because there's no reason for me to trust, number one, the first responders based on the history that I'm aware of, where I'm also hearing that their previous history, that they detached the audio from video that they denied they had forever in a court of law under oath, subject to producing evidence from their own body cam while on duty. Finally, they produce the video, but it's minus the audio. Okay, now we're in this case, which is right around the corner. The other case hadn't even concluded. We have the same first responders, right? And we're hearing the defense talk about, well, I have to figure out how to attach the video to some sounds, and I don't know which is which. Yeah, because they're playing hide and seek. So anytime a prosecution plays hide and seek with evidence, it's huge red flags to me, and it tells me there's a rat, there's a reason, there's a rhyme, there's no coincidences. If the defense is having to actively try to stay ahead of the prosecution because the prosecution is not forthcoming with the evidence, then they have a very weak case, period. Because when prosecution has a strong case, it's in your face. There's usually a plea deal on the table. We have a strong case would be, we have you on camera, your DNA there, we have you committing the crime. The person's like, yep, I'll plead, right? But when you have this hide and seek game and this twisting of words, and you have the PCA come out and you have that literally plaguing the system, the media, and overrunning everybody with this theory, this analysis that BK was this huge stalker, serial kind of stalker, and he was all about that, and he was an incel, and he just couldn't get enough of this beauty contest thing. Boom! It's all not true.
Let's see. You acknowledge false that Mr. Coburn allegedly stalked one of the victims. That's false. You know that to be false.
Which one?
That Mr. Coburn allegedly stalked one of the victims.
Yes, I was trying not to say that because.
Which one? Make him say it again.
But you knew that was false.
I did.
Yes. And so you have now, for anybody who had never heard that before, that question is now planted into them, unqualified representation that Mr. Koberger stalked one of the witnesses, and that's false.
That's false. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
False.
False. False. Boom. It's false. Let's go through this a little bit, you guys. Throughout the investigate, remember, for those of you just joining us, this is a live. If you are on replay, shout out to you. I love my replay crew. Remember, you have a fast forward button. November 23rd, 2022, presser release for Moscow homicide. Here we go. Tips. Okay, through investigation, investigators have collected 103 pieces of evidence, taken approximately 4,000 photographs, and multiple three-dimensional scans of the residence, and hundreds of hours by ISP forensic science technicians and investigators. That resulted in nothing. I'm going off the paper now for those listening and not reading with me. I'm going on my own opinion from here on. And out of all those three-dimensional scans and hundreds of hours by the ISP forensic science technicians, they collected 4 male DNAs. 3 are still unknown. 1's on trial, and there's no connection at all before or after the victims other than this little touch DNA. Yep. Tips. Detectives are looking for contacts to the events and people involved in these MURDERs. Anyone who observed notable behavior, has video surveillance, or can provide relevant information. Their tip line still relevant today. We encourage our community to rely on official channels for the most accurate information. Well, what are your official channels? Because if you're talking about News Nation with Jennifer Dagger, no, that's not reliable. So I don't know. Investigation information on the evening of November 12th. Kaylee Gonsalves. And you guys can say Goncalves. Some of you say Gonsalves. Some of you say Gonsalveses. I'm going to tell you right now, none of you say it the same. That's why Steve G says nobody says it right. It is G. So Kaylee G. And Madison Mogan were at the local bar called Corner Club at 202 North Main Street in downtown Moscow between 10 p.m. and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th, approximately 1:40 a.m. Kaylee and Madison were seen on a video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck. And it goes on to say this, but I want you to look down here. Where was it? I should have left it highlighted. It's about the suspects cleared. Okay. Remember, we're only 10 days after this crime occurred. 10 days. And where is the little list? I swear I had it. It was about who's... We don't believe these people are involved. I may have lost that. Oh, here it is. I was like, what? Anchor detectives are aware. I don't know why it says anchor. Detectives are aware of Latah County Sheriff's Office incident of the report of a skinned dog and have determined it is unrelated to this incident. Contact blah, blah, blah. Detectives are also aware of the Moscow police incident of the report deceased animals left on residents' property was determined to be a wildlife activity and unrelated to the incident. What? Wildlife activity? There were dead animals skinned and hung out on sorority properties and frat properties. And that's a wildlife activity, Moscow? Wow. Remind me not to... If you're a nature lover, I'm just saying that's offensive. The identity of the 911 caller has not been released, and that's true to this day. Online reports of the victims being tied and gagged are not accurate. Okay? So that's what they were saying back then. And then they give us a list of all who's doing their thing. They had 4 detectives from Moscow. Okay. So, before I get into the next segment, I'm coming up for air. How you guys doing? Kim House, hey Mama D. I just recently heard that some of the brats had blood relation, whether cousins, second cousins, or so forth, to some of the Moscow Police Department. I'm not sure how true that is, although believable. Well, if you've ever had to do any true crime genealogy, everybody's related to everybody. I mean, Teresa Halbach was related to the woman that found her car. And they allegedly didn't it gets crazy. And the woman that found her car was related to the sheriff. I mean, it gets twisted. So it's highly probable and most likely true, but I can't prove it. I still, when I did my OMG theory, until I'm proven otherwise, I'm going to stand by it. That is what I believe happened. I'm leaving it at that. Right now, I'm just getting other things cleaned up about the Idaho 4 case as they are cleared up by either the prosecution or the defense or whatever. Right, Kim Princess. This smells like some kid of CULT ritualistic crap. Yeah, it does. It does. Sherry Crow says, I thought it was Jack Showalter putting wolf carcasses at frat and sorority doors front steps. We've never had proof of it, to be honest. There's rumors. My kid's keeper. Hello, everyone. I'll have to watch from the beginning. Well, thank you, lovely, for tuning in. We're going to continue here. Now, with everything, your theory, your what theory? It's called OMG, OMG, OMG. And let me see if we can get a picture of the thumbnail for you real quick. Let me look. Here you are. Good thing I know my computer pretty good. All right. There you go. This is the thumbnail. This is my theory. Even though I said it was 2 years when it was actually only a year and a half, I was like 2.5 years, it was 1.5. And I immediately, because it's live, you guys, anytime I screw up, I always put a correction as soon as it's caught in our pinned comment. But most people, they'd rather, not read anybody else's comment. And, then I have 500 people reminding me I'm wrong. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I screwed up. I do it. It happens. But I was exactly right on that it being 2.5 years when it came to what the topic was, which was when Ethan became a freshman, because he was a freshman twice. But we're not even going to get into that. You can go watch the video. It's right here. It's called OMG, OMG, OMG. And it is on our massive playlist for the Idaho 4. Okay. So even though, let's go back. This is right out of the Columbian. This is more of a local newspaper. Boise, Idaho paper. Boise, Idaho. Brian Kohlberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students, did not stalk one of the victims. Attorneys on both sides of the capital murder case said Wednesday one of the few issues on which they agreed at a combative court hearing that appeared to be set for the tone of the trial 6 days ago. So now we've got the ones that are honest that are going to come back and be like, he never stalked nobody, right? And they're going to be like, oops, just like I said, they're going to have to make a correction to hold up their credibility. Because whether they want to or not, just like me, when I say it was, over 800 days, and then we find out it's more like 400 and some days, right? I have to be like, oops, I am very sorry. I made an actual mistake on the date. It did not. It was not the main topic of the video. But I still had to go back. I had to update my video, and I had to put the correct information pinned, and I've had to repost to over 200 commenters that, yes, I had the wrong year. I apologize. Check the, corrected post. Now I would expect, Nancy Grace and Jennifer Coppendagger and other people to go back and fix their mess, right? That way they reach the same people they told. Because that makes sense. Like, I told you guys the wrong date. So not only that, but then I followed it up by several lives. And I mean, 3-4 times I've stated, oops, I got that completely wrong. This is like my probably 5th time. So I made it abundantly clear. I've owned up to it. That way going forward, if I tell you, oh, another one. I did the same thing. I put the correction pinned, and you'll find that. If you hear me say something that you know is not right, check that pinned comment. I promise you, if I'm aware I have made an error, it's corrected right there. In that video, in the bottom, where it's pinned. The only way I can correct a lie. But what I'm saying is, I made a mistake the other day. I couldn't see all of the video. I had my little, box around it, and I couldn't see Katie's hands. So I was watching a Sebastian Rogers video interview of the Proud Beats. And I thought it was Chris tapping the mother's chair. It wasn't. It was Katie herself tapping the table. She was trying to remember the word 3-way. And that's why she was tapping the table 3 times. So I made an error. I got all excited because I thought he was queuing her up. But every bit of the rest of that context applied except for the fact that it was not Chris. So I want other people to be like, oops, I misspoke. Because they have a lot bigger audience that they've told the wrong information to, and it is dealing with the justice for the victims. We want to make sure we have the right guy. And at this point, not only do we have 4 victims, but if Brian Kohlberger is innocent, if that explains why there's no connection before or after the crime other than a little DNA on the knife sheath, then you guys, the bad guys or girls, are still out there. They're still out there. Aw, Kim House, thank you, lovely, for that snooper chat. Thank you, thank you. Hey, Tickety Boo, you say bless you, Danny. Gretchen will always be with you. Thank you, lovely. Thank you. Row, did not stalk Nancy Bullhorn. Are being keep it rolling. We just want justice for the victims and against the real killers. Amen. Truth, 100%. You get a gold star. Boom. We want the real guy. If Brian did it, I want him to rot. Okay? I don't like him as a person. But it's not about what I like and dislike. You're like, how would you even know him as a person? He creeps me out too. But does that make him guilty? No. No. Just like somebody told me that my eyes were scary because they're so blue. Well, out of a million people that told me I have the beautifulest blue eyes ever, to that one person, did it make me a scary person? No. But to them I was. So, I mean, it's all in the eyes of the perspective person, their perception. And what we have is we have demonization. Demonization. Making someone appear as a monster in the mainstream media. And then, while the person hasn't even had trial yet, learning that the information you've been serving up hot and steaming is a plate of BS, and you don't have the credibility, the integrity to go back and say, y'all, I made a boo-boo. What? Because everybody gonna found out about it. You hear me? Everybody gonna find out that you knew and you lied. Because if you knew and you were pushing the wrong truth, in other words, a lie, you are not working for true justice. You are pushing a false narrative. And it just effing blew up in your ugly little face. Boom. Because you are ugly if you lie. I don't care if you're gorgeous looking to some people. If you're lying, you ugly. You ugly. Sally Shepherdson says, how many killers are involved in the Idaho 4 murders? There you go. How many? Sassy says, right, we are not BK groupies. We are for the victims and not standing for any corruption. I added any, Sassy. Gemini65 says, BK looks normal to me. He creeps me out a little because of the fact that he's just so calm about everything. But that's because you know me, most likely you know me. I'm a very, outspoken person. They'd have to sedate me if I was the defendant. I'd be like, hell no, I didn't do this. I want to be my own lawyer. Because I'd know I'd be innocent. I'd be like, prove it. Show me the camera. Show me the footage. You know? I don't know. I'm not meaning to be mean. He's so quiet. He's so quiet. But I don't believe he did it at all. I truly don't. Because I believe there would be more than what we have. So what? His phone pinged in the area. Everywhere is in the area in a town that's only 4 miles wide. And you have 2 towers. All of it is in the area. You can't get out of being in the area of one of those towers. So you're either going to tower B or A or B. Right? That doesn't work. And people are like, well, what are you going to do about that? His car is in the area. How do you know that's his car? Did you see Brian drive it? Did you see Brian get out of it? Did you see Brian get in that car? Do you have a license plate that can show me that that's Brian in that car? Well, that that's his car. Is there anything that is Brian's car? And until somebody can show me differently, I can't accept it. April Poole says he did it in all caps. And in whatever you base your opinion on, I respect your opinion. I respect your opinion. But not all of us feel that way. Dana Lynn says we're going to call back blue-eyed monsters. Well, you guys, you have been absolutely wonderful today. I don't have a lot to go over. I do want to say there's a lot of, how do I want to put it? Information, just information, rumors as well as some truths coming out in the Sebastian Rogers case. Supposedly, allegedly, there's information that something's going to be coming our way. Could be a rumor, could be truth, but we're going to get through it, read what's been said, come in for a family discussion, a members family tomorrow on Sebastian. It will be members. It will be broadcast to the public, but I want an all-star panel on this one because this is some very strong communication on the Sebastian case. And so I want those that are true and trusted, in other words, not somebody just dropping in. I want your opinions, but we'll share it with everybody so we don't leave anybody out. But that'll be on at 4 o'clock. And yeah, there's a lot going on with the Riley Strain case. Now, I have not covered this Riley King case, but I have watched every single update from day one. So I'm very familiar with the Riley Strain case and the barbecue flavor in the drink. I've got it all going on in my head. Maybe we should do a double tomorrow. Maybe we'll do like a short live, like a half hour long, just to update you on the Riley Strain case for those of you that haven't heard it. We'll see how that goes. Like I said, I haven't publicly covered the case, but I'm very familiar. And then we'll jump into the Sebastian Rogers case together. Alibi, possibly today. It's supposed to be coming down the line. I think it's going to be interesting. Elmer Wood says, everyone, please hit the subscribe and like button for this beautiful channel and Mama D. I would greatly appreciate any support that you give. Whether it's just simply you hitting the like button, maybe you subscribed, maybe hit a bell. But if you want to know when I go live next, I do surprise people once in a while and just jump on. So you might want to hit the bell. It's kind of your call, you know, because ultimately you are the one in control of your own buttons. Born Pack Rat, 16 months as a Starlight Bud. Starlight Buds give a little extra just because they want to of support to the channel. And I want to say I am so humbled by all of your love, Born Pack Rat, all this time. Like, you have been with me for a long time. And I'm thankful for you, lovely. I'm truly thankful for you. Holly Berry says, yes, Riley Strain, something wrong there. Poor boy. I know, lovely. I think we should do, like I said, I'll jump on and we'll just kind of go over a summary of where we are in the Riley Strain case. I love you all. I truly do. Make your day count. And like I said, remember, you're in control of the buttons that you push. Make sure you push the ones that inspire you. I love you to the moon and back.